friend Nicole called me. I was like, what's going on? Did you see Justin Bieber's tweet? And I was like, oh, no.
This is definitely fueling those rumors right here. Now, as for what he meant when he commented that, I guess that's up to interpretation. Either he's talking about her unreleased song, or he's talking about why she isn't supporting his new album. Or it could just be all one big joke, who knows. But I just find it crazy how he commented this a month after the IG post.
Justin's kind of hard to keep up with, isn't he? He's in pretty good shape, huh?
Me. My nose is not big. Your nose is big.
My nose is small.
You have a big nose.
Look at your nose.
It's not.
It's gigantic.
Is this a big nose? You have a big
You
nose.
can smell me from over there.
I can't smell anything.
She was just 13, a wide-eyed teenager uploading cover songs online, hoping that someone, anyone, would notice her voice. Someone did. And not just anyone, it was Justin Bieber. At the time, he was at the height of his teen idol fame, with the power to transform unknown singers into overnight sensations. And he made it clear that Madison Beer had caught his attention. From that moment. Their connection became one of those curious industry relationships that never quite disappeared. Years passed, but the public fascination remained. Every comment, every like, every photo together sparked speculation. Was it simply a case of a famous mentor supporting a young artist? Or was there something more complicated, maybe even unsettling, about how it all began? Hailey Bieber has always existed at the center of this conversation, silently enduring the headlines and the constant speculation. She knows better than anyone how quickly the internet can twist a moment into a viral talking point. Now, she's finally breaking her silence. And what she's saying isn't just a throwaway comment, it's the kind of statement that makes people stop scrolling, because when a story begins with a 13-year-old girl being pulled into the spotlight by one of the most famous men in the world, every interaction that follows is scrutinized. In Hollywood, where timing is everything and every move is calculated, even the smallest misstep can spark a wildfire of rumors. With Justin and Madison, nothing has ever been simple. It's the kind of relationship that seems casual on the surface, friendly posts, public appearances, harmless laughter, yet has always left just enough unanswered questions to keep the rumor mill spinning. For some, it's all innocent. For others, the way their story began and the way it never quite faded feels suspicious. Justin is a married man now. His wife, Hailey, has stood by him through controversies, health battles, and relentless gossip. And yet, Madison Beer continues to appear in his orbit, a recurring character in a narrative the public can't seem to let go of. The whispers go back years, all the way to when Madison was just a young girl with a dream and a YouTube channel. Justin, already a global icon, decided to shine his spotlight on her, the way Usher and later Diddy once did for him. On paper, it reads like a pay-it-forward moment between a superstar and a rising talent. But for critics, the timeline is uncomfortable. The parallels are striking. Just as Justin once idolized Puffy, Madison idolized Justin. And that's the thing about fame, what looks like mentorship on the surface can raise entirely different questions once you dig deeper.
Justin fan before he discovered me. He's great. It's awesome that I get to have somebody who I've literally looked up to my whole childhood as my mentor. It's really cool.
She was barely out of middle school when their connection began. And while it may have been framed as purely professional, the internet has a long memory and a sharp eye for moments that don't quite sit right. Fast forward to today, and their dynamic is still making headlines. Recently, Madison Beer posted a set of photos on Instagram. Nothing unusual, just a few aesthetic shots that matched her typical style. Weeks later, Justin Bieber appeared in the comments. He joked that her failure to use a track from his new album for one of the slides was, in his words, diabolical. The comment was sprinkled with emojis, giving it a playful, light-hearted vibe, but online reactions were anything but unanimous. One side saw harmless banter between longtime friends. The other side viewed it as yet another instance of Justin inserting himself into Madison's world in a way that felt oddly timed and unnecessarily public. What made the moment even more curious was the delay. Madison's post was from late June. Justin commented in mid-July, nearly a month later. That time gap set off more speculation. Why was he scrolling through her older posts? Why publicly call her out for not promoting his album when the post came out before the album even dropped? To many, the whole thing felt like a stretch. Maybe even a little thirsty.
Big deal because Bieber made this comment 3 days ago on July 16th, back when this IG post was on June 23rd. That is right, he commented a month after this IG post was made. And if you go to the comment section, there's like a bunch of things being said about this. Like, for example, the top person saying stay away from her, the bottom person saying he's a freak. I mean, this definitely does add fuel to the rumor that they do have something going on. Because I'm sure you remember this last year when Madison had in her birthday post on IG and Justin Bieber responded with like heart emojis. So this is definitely fueling those rumors right here. Now, as for what he meant when he commented that, I guess that's up to interpretation. Either he's talking about her unreleased song, or he's talking about why she isn't supporting his new album. Or it could just be all one big joke, who knows. But I just find it crazy how he commented this a month after the IG.
She was barely out of middle school when their connection began. It was presented as professional, an established artist uplifting a promising young talent. But the internet has a long memory, and it doesn't forget the details that make people uneasy. Fast forward to now, and that connection is still sparking conversation. The most recent incident? A seemingly innocent Instagram post from Madison Beer. Just a few photos in her usual style, posted in late June. Weeks later, Justin Bieber showed up in the comments. He wrote that the fact she hadn't used a track from his new album for one of the slides was, in his words, diabolical. The comment was peppered with emojis, light-hearted, maybe even playful, but the internet didn't see it as just a joke. Fans immediately split into two camps. One group saw harmless banter between old friends. The other saw something more, something that felt out of place, maybe even inappropriate. What made it worse was the timing. Justin commented in mid-July, nearly a month after the post went up. That delay stood out. Why was he scrolling through her older posts? Why publicly point out that she hadn't promoted his album when her post came before the album even dropped? To some, it felt like a reach. To others, it came off as oddly possessive. And to a vocal portion of the internet, it was simply creepy. The comment section lit up instantly. Fans flooded in with reactions, some telling Justin directly to back off, others going so far as to call him a freak. Of course, there were also those defending him, dismissing the criticism as overblown. But the fact that so many people immediately jumped to the conclusion that something was off speaks volumes about how this relationship is perceived. This isn't the first time Justin has publicly interacted with Madison in ways that raised eyebrows. Just last year, on her birthday, he commented on her Instagram with a series of heart emojis. Some saw it as friendly encouragement. Others viewed it as crossing a line, especially for a married man. When you start to stack these moments together, a pattern begins to emerge. And for Hailey Bieber, navigating a marriage under constant public scrutiny, that pattern can't be easy to ignore from the beginning. Hailey has been forced to deal with not just rumors about Justin's past relationships, but also ongoing speculation about his present ones. Madison Beer has been in that mix for years. Whether or not there's any truth to the theories, perception has a way of becoming reality in the court of public opinion. This latest Instagram moment is just another spark in a fire that never quite goes out. It drags old questions back into the spotlight. Was this connection ever just about music and mentorship? Or was something more complicated always lingering beneath the surface? In Hollywood, clean answers are hard to come by. And until they emerge, if they ever do, people will keep watching, keep speculating, and keep connecting the dots. When Madison Beer first stepped into the spotlight, many called her the female Justin Bieber. She had the look, the voice, the social media presence, everything needed to become the next teen pop sensation. And Justin believed in her. He promoted her music, encouraged his fans to support her, and essentially gave her the stamp of approval that could have launched a massive career. For a moment, it seemed like Madison might follow in his footsteps, from bedroom YouTube covers to sold-out arenas. But the reality of the music industry is rarely that linear. Despite the initial buzz, record labels weren't fully sold. Madison had online traction, but executives didn't see the commercial breakout they were hoping for. Eventually, the momentum slowed. She was dropped from her label, forced to navigate an unforgiving industry without the same backing. Yes, she's released music that resonates with fans. Yes, she's built a solid brand and respectable following. But she never reached the level many expected. She's not dominating the charts or headlining major tours. That's why some eye roll when Justin shows up publicly expecting loyalty or promotion, especially when his support, while loud early on, didn't lead to sustained success for her. The Instagram comment is a perfect example. Madison posted in June. Justin commented nearly a month later. The post had nothing to do with him, and his album hadn't even dropped yet. So why make a public remark about her not including his music? To some, it read as playful. To others, it seemed like an unnecessary insertion and attention grab, a subtle flex, or even an attempt to remind people of their connection. Context is everything. And in this case, the context includes a relationship that began when she was barely a teenager, a career that never quite lived up to the hype, a marriage that's been under constant examination in that light. Even a simple comment becomes a moment worth dissecting, but if you really want to know how people feel about it, just scroll through the comment section under Madison's post. It's a live debate in real time. The top liked comment tells Justin, point blank, to stay away from her. Another simply calls him a freak. These aren't the reactions you see when something is viewed as completely innocent. People aren't just reacting to the comment. They're reacting to the history, and if you remember last year's birthday post, you know why this feels familiar. Back then, Justin dropped heart emojis on one of Madison's photos, and the internet ran with it. What looked like harmless affection to some became a red flag for others. Pair that memory with the recent diabolical comment, and suddenly there's a pattern fans can't ignore. Every interaction is picked apart. Was he joking about Madison's song Unruly? Was he genuinely annoyed she didn't use his music? Was it an inside joke? No one really knows. It could be playful. It could be attention-seeking. It could be nothing. But in celebrity culture, perception often outweighs intention. And that perception gets even murkier when you consider the delay. Nearly a month passed between Madison's post and Justin's comment. That means he either went looking for it or stumbled on it after the fact. Neither option screams casual. For those already suspicious of their dynamic, this becomes more fuel for the fire. Another breadcrumb in a story that's been told in glances, emojis, and throwaway comments for years. This is the problem with high-profile relationships that begin in unusual ways and live under the microscope. Once people decide something's off, every small moment becomes evidence. And when one party is a married man and the other is someone he publicly supported when she was still a teen, the speculation will never stop. Justin's marriage to Hailey has faced public pressure from the start. Every smile, every lack of eye contact, every post, or lack of one, becomes a headline. It's an exhausting cycle. And one that's only been magnified by comparisons to women from Justin's past. First, there was Selena Gomez. The on-again, off-again nature of that relationship turned it into one of the most dissected celebrity romances of the last decade. When Justin married Hailey, many fans weren't ready to let Selena go. The comparisons were relentless. Looks, personalities, even social media captions were put side by side and analyzed to death. Hailey had to carve out space in a marriage haunted by another public love story. And just when that shadow seemed to fade, Madison Beer stepped into the frame. Whether or not there's anything inappropriate happening between Justin and Madison, the optics are hard to ignore. When the public is repeatedly suggesting your husband should steer clear of another woman, it creates pressure. Even if it's all in good fun, even if the intentions are pure, the perception is what lingers. Hailey knows that. She knows every heart emoji, every playful comment, every interaction gets pulled apart by fans and gossip blogs alike. In the eyes of the public, Justin's pattern of forming close connections with other women feeds a narrative that's hard to shake. First it was Selena. Now it's Madison. And as long as these moments keep happening, even the small ones, the public will keep watching, keep speculating, and keep asking the same uncomfortable questions.
Support you to this day? Do you still have any sort of relationship?
Yeah, of course. And people ask me this all the time. We spent so many years so close, and I think that we'll always have that sort of like bond that will remain no matter what.
The names may change, but the storyline stays eerily familiar. A high-profile woman enters Justin Bieber's orbit, the media catches on, and suddenly, Hailey Bieber finds herself at the center of yet another controversy. It's a pattern that seems impossible to escape. And while not all of the tension in Justin and Hailey's marriage stems from rumors about other women, there's no denying that these public narratives add pressure to an already scrutinized relationship. Justin and Hailey have faced their fair share of personal challenges, health scares, emotional struggles, and the difficulty of maintaining a private marriage in an age where every smile, every silence, and every Instagram post is dissected. But the persistent involvement of other women in the public conversation introduces a uniquely stressful dynamic. It keeps the focus off their accomplishments as a couple and instead drags them into a cycle of gossip, comparisons, and insinuations. For Hailey, it must feel like déjà vu. She stepped into Justin's life after the rollercoaster that was his relationship with Selena Gomez. Now, years later, she's fielding rumors about Madison Beer. The situations may differ, but the public reaction feels the same. And in a marriage that already lives under a microscope, even the appearance of impropriety can create fractures that are difficult to ignore. To make matters worse, the recent Instagram incident with Madison Beer has reignited interest not just in their current dynamic, but in Justin's entire history with young women. Fans and critics alike have begun to resurface old allegations, timelines, and images that paint a more troubling picture. The conversations have shifted from raising eyebrows at Justin's Instagram comments to questioning his broader pattern of behavior. And some of the stories being discussed are deeply unsettling. One of the most talked about examples is Justin's past relationship with Sofia Richie. She was just 17 when the two went public, while Justin was in his early 20s. The backlash was immediate. While some dismissed the relationship as harmless, others felt the age gap was inappropriate, especially given that she was still legally underage in many places. Their public appearances, vacations, and intimate moments raised serious questions about boundaries, power dynamics, and maturity. Then there's the resurfaced timeline involving Madison Beer. According to fan discussions and archived content from platforms like Reddit, things become more questionable when you look closely at the dates. Justin was 20 when photos emerged of him being physically affectionate with Madison in a recording studio. At the time, she was working on a track that featured him. Those photos were released in early April 2014. Madison had just turned 15 the month prior, which means some of the time they spent together may have occurred while she was still 14. Even if nothing inappropriate happened, the optics are troubling, especially in an industry notorious for taking advantage of young female talent. In a later interview, Madison reflected on her history with the Biebers. She said, "I've known Hailey since I was 10, and I've known Justin since I was 12. We're still in each other's lives, and now they're married with a baby." To some, that may seem like a sweet reflection on a long-standing friendship. But to others, the fact that a 20-year-old man was that closely involved in the life of a young teenager, professionally or otherwise, raises serious concerns. And then there's the fan theory about Justin taking Sofia Richie to another country, like Japan, where age of consent laws differ. While this has never been confirmed, it's been widely speculated that this trip contributed to a falling out with Selena Gomez, who was reportedly furious about the situation. Whether or not these stories are true almost feels secondary. What matters is that they've gained traction again. And in the digital age, where old photos, interviews, and fan theories are just a click away, past controversies don't stay buried for long. Every new interaction between Justin and someone like Madison is no longer judged in isolation, it's viewed through the lens of these older, unresolved narratives. And for Hailey, this must be a nightmare. Not only is she dealing with current rumors about Madison Beer, but she's also watching her husband's name being pulled through years of disturbing speculation. The more these conversations surface, the harder it becomes to separate their private reality from his public image. And in the court of public opinion, perception often does more damage than facts ever could. Of course, there's another side to this conversation. A more nuanced take that acknowledges the complexity of Justin's past. Some fans argue that Justin himself was a product of an industry that failed to protect him. He was just 12 when he was brought into the music business, surrounded by powerful adults who didn't always have his best interests in mind. By the time he was a teenager, he was spending time with figures like Diddy, men known for their extravagant lifestyles and loose boundaries. There have long been claims that Justin was exposed to inappropriate situations, even exploitation, during his early years. In this view, the argument is not that Justin is innocent, but that his understanding of relationships, boundaries, and power was shaped in an environment where those lines were often blurred. This doesn't excuse his behavior, but it does help explain why he may have struggled to develop a healthy sense of what is and isn't appropriate. Some believe he was caught in a cycle of exploitation, mistreated as a child star and, later, unable to fully grasp the power dynamics at play in his own relationships, but not everyone buys that explanation. Many argue that personal trauma doesn't justify causing harm to others. They point out that by his early 20s, Justin had access to therapists, advisors, and resources most people could only dream of. If he continued to pursue relationships with much younger individuals, it wasn't because he didn't know better, it was because he chose not to care. And that brings us back to the current moment. Whether or not Madison Beer and Justin Bieber have ever had anything beyond a friendship, the perception is powerful. Each emoji, each comment, each public exchange becomes a new chapter in a story that refuses to go away. And with every reappearance of Madison in Justin's digital orbit, the public connects the dots. Even if there are none to connect, the speculation thrives in gray areas. It feeds on ambiguity and multiplies with every new rumor. And in the end, it's Hailey who's left to deal with the fallout. Once again, she's watching as the internet pulls her husband's name into the same type of narrative that has haunted their marriage from the start. First, it was Selena. Now, it's Madison. And whether or not the situations are the same, the emotional toll of reliving that cycle over and over again is hard to ignore. So what do you think? Are people reading too much into these interactions, or are they right to question the timing, the tone, and the history? Does Justin's past offer context or a warning sign? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. I post weekly deep dives into the secrets, scandals, and untold stories of your favorite celebrities.